Hi, my name is Seth Maggi, and I'm a therapist here at Richstone Family Center. I'm here to offer you some advice on how to speak to a friend or a family member who might be having thoughts of suicide. Hearing that a loved one is considering suicide can be one of the most frightening things we face, but it's also something you and your loved one can handle together. To begin the conversation, recognize that it's okay to ask about suicide. Your loved one might say things like, I wish I were dead, or everyone would be better off without me. You can't really know what they mean by those statements if you don't ask. It might be hard, but don't hesitate to say, are you talking about suicide? Or are you thinking of killing yourself? Doing so lets your loved one know that you're willing to talk with them about something they've likely been afraid to bring up to anyone. You're letting them know you care and that you want to understand. Next, be aware that just because someone has thoughts of ending their life doesn't mean it's an emergency or that the person is at immediate risk of killing themselves. Thoughts of suicide aren't uncommon, especially in stressful times. Most people who think of suicide never attempt to end their lives. Think of thoughts of suicide like a freeway. Anyone might get on that freeway sometime, but it's a long trip to get all the way to the end to the point of taking one's life. There are many safe exits from the freeway before that point, and most everyone will take one of those exits, especially if they have a supportive person to help them. Remember that a person who's thinking about wanting to be dead is doing so because they're hurting. They're in emotional pain and looking for a way to end that pain. Imagine if a young child came to you and said, my stomach hurts. I don't feel good. You'd show that child compassion and empathy. Show that same compassion and empathy to a loved one considering suicide. Don't judge them or criticize them. Instead, let them know you're there to listen and that you want to help. If you feel comfortable doing it, it's good to ask some questions to figure out how far along the freeway your loved one is. A good first question is, do you have a plan for how you would kill yourself? The reason to ask that is it's a very different risk level if they're to answer, no, I've never thought about it, versus maybe, yeah, I'd overdose on sleeping pills. If they do have a plan, ask if they have the means to carry out that plan. Again, it's very different if your loved one says, no, I don't have any idea how to get sleeping pills, rather than, yeah, I have pills I've been saving up for this. If they have a plan and means, it's good to ask if they have a schedule or a timeline. It's much more concerning, for example, if they were, say, they're planning on killing themselves tonight, rather than if they're thinking of maybe doing it sometime in the next year. There's one more helpful question you can ask. Sometimes people have difficulty putting their feelings into words. It can be much easier for them to rate how they're feeling on a scale. So ask, where on a scale from 1 to 5 are you? If 1 means you're definitely not going to try to kill yourself today, and 5 means you definitely are. Most people find that an easy question to answer. If your loved one doesn't have a plan, means, or timeline, or rates low on that scale, know that they're likely not at immediate risk of attempting suicide. That's a time for you to offer support and help. Consider giving them the number for the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's an excellent resource available 24 hours a day for anyone considering suicide and needing support. It's also a great service for yourself if you need help talking to your loved one, if you don't know how to judge their risk, or if you have any other questions. The counselors there will be able to offer you help and advice. If your loved one does have a plan, means, and intent to kill themselves, and you're unsure whether you can keep them safe, call 911. They will assess the situation and send help if needed. And if the dispatcher believes emergency intervention isn't appropriate, they'll connect you with the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Lastly, therapy can really benefit people who are thinking about suicide. Consider calling Richstone to learn more about the free and low-cost therapy and counseling services we offer.